Hello and welcome to Airship Pirates World. Today we're going to be talking about the new siege system. So this is the ability to control territory via airship combat. And to test the siege system, we will be conquering the city of South Haven, which is right over there. Of course, this is just on the test server, so it has no real meaning, but anyway. So I'll go down below and we can get this thing started. So, the siege system is highly flexible. You control which types of aircraft qualify to conquer a region, and you control how long the defenders have to kill the attackers, and all of these other settings via a YAML file, and I will link an example file in the description for you. But basically, what you need to know is it's all about controlling the cap, or the siege region. And if you look at this sort of dotted line of bedrock blocks in the ocean beneath me, that's denoting the borders of the cap. I'm going to have the guys on the server come up with perhaps something a little bit more graphically appealing, but for now, it's just this dotted line telling me where I need to be to capture the city. Okay, and you can see it's now saying that I can execute a siege. It gives me the time frame during which I can do the siege for this particular region. It's different for each region. And so I'm going to go ahead and kick this thing off by typing /siege. Okay, it makes this really loud noise, and it plays that noise for every single player on the server, so everybody knows that this is about to happen. The point of that is that if anyone wants to defend it, they can come in here and help set up a defense and so on. Yeah, don't worry about it, Bob. I'm just doing something over here. Don't worry about it. Anyway, you may have noticed the time it told you is wrong. Yeah, I'm working on it. It's just a little bug, but the system itself works fine. Okay, so you may have noticed I've moved my airship so that it's completely inside the region, and the reason I'm going to do that is, well, technically yes, Bob, but don't worry about it. I'm just doing a video demonstrating a new system. It's nothing you need to concern yourself with. Just go back to doing whatever it is that you do. So anyway, victory in the siege system is based on if the person who started the siege is still piloting a capital ship or a flagship by the end of the siege system. It doesn't have to be the same one. He has to be piloting a flagship type craft, which for most cities will be an airship, a sub-airship, some kind of the larger vessels. Light airships do not count for most cities. They do count for some, like Trindon, because airships can't even reach Trindon, so of course it has to be decided by light airships. Quick note on the notifications it sends out. Normally those would happen once every 15 minutes. They're happening much more rapidly now because for this test I've set the time to be quite short. Normally you have a full hour to prepare the defense before the siege starts. And by the way, you can start the combat long before the siege starts, and that's a good idea to do so, to start shooting down the enemy's ships as they approach the city. Another thing we didn't talk about was the cost of the siege. Sieges are expensive, and the more cities you already own, the more expensive the siege gets. This siege cost me $1 million. So obviously you want to be careful how much you... Okay... Well, I guess there's only one more notification anyway, so I don't think I'm going to dignify that with a response. So anyway, what I was talking about with the cost going up for every city you own, that's basically to prevent a single faction from steamrolling the entire server. So that as you gain more cities, it becomes so expensive to lay siege to cities you basically can't do it, whereas your enemies can siege them back from you relatively cheaply. What? That doesn't even make sense. Bob, I think you have a few screws loose or something. So anyway, all I have to do to win is basically just stand in the cap long enough and... Bob, what are you doing? He has a fighter. You better not be... He's shooting me. Great. And here I am in an unarmed merchantman, and this idiot... Wonderful. There it goes. Now it's on fire. And of course I don't have any guns because I was just testing. I am going to kill that little Ugh, I'm gonna be lucky to survive this. And Bob, you better hope I don't. And he's still shooting. Ever heard of self-control? Ever try and hide somewhere so the fireballs don't kill me? And now it's sinking. Good job, Bob. You ruined the video. Then again, maybe not. As I was saying earlier, you don't have to be in your original ship to win, just as long as you're in some kind of ship that qualifies as a flagship. Any kind of airship or sub-airship will do, and as it so happens, I came here in my Barracuda. So, all I have to do is ride this thing down to the ocean. Yeah, it was an unarmored merchantman, you moron! Of course you shot it down! Alright, I'm just gonna swim over to this piece of bedrock, hop on it, get my boat, and if I hurry back here, maybe I can still make it before the timer expires. Normally you'd have 30 minutes to get your ship into position over the cap in order to win. Of course, it's much shorter because this was a test. So, if you were actually planning out a siege on the server, you would be wise to make sure that whoever your siege leader or admiral is, that he has a crew sign on all of the ships that will be in your fleet. That way, if his first ship is destroyed, then the second ship becomes the command ship, and he will respawn on the second ship and take command, and so on. From a role-playing perspective, I kind of see this as just like in a traditional navy. The first flagship is destroyed, there is another ship which becomes the flagship, and another officer who becomes the next in command of the fleet. Okay, and you may notice it gives out these periodic notifications. It gives one every 3 minutes, and it's telling me that the attack leader, me, is no longer in command of a flagship, and if we don't get another one in there soon, we're going to lose. So let's hurry on over there. Okay, I've entered the siege region, or the cap. Now, what actually matters is the center of your airship must be within the region, so I should be in there now. Okay, yeah, I think we're going to be alright, because we're back in the siege region before the timer expired, so we should be able to... yeah... So, what are you going to do about it? That's a Falcon. It has no armor-piercing weaponry. And he's shooting again. Well, if I go down below, he can't hurt me, since this ship is armored, and he is not going to penetrate this armor with those fireballs. Alright, fine. I'll blow him out of the sky. Yeah, and he's gonna just stand there and take it like an idiot. Just a matter of time until my AA guns finally manage to hit him. And at that point, the average IQ on the server should increase dramatically. Alright, there he goes. I'd say I was gonna miss him, but I obviously didn't. Yes, just figured that out, did you? Okay, so now that that's taken care of, we basically just sit here and wait for the timer to expire. And what's going to happen is when it does, it is going to strip out anyone who was a owner of the region that the siege is intended to control. In this case, it's the airspace around South Haven. And there it goes. The forces of Bakayaro have been victorious! So it's going to strip out all of the old owners and members, and it is going to add a new owner of me, or the player who started the siege. Now, on our server, we use factions, and everybody's a member of a faction, so if you're not just one individual going around conquering cities, which would be incredibly difficult and is not likely to work, but if you're a member of a faction, then what you would do at that point is you would add the rest of your faction to the city. Now, we're going to have some rules that anyone who is capable of starting a siege within your faction has to be added as an owner of the city. And one thing that we have not talked about is the fact that cities actually have revenue that they get. So there's a certain amount of money that you get every day at 1 a.m. For owning the city. and that will be split amongst all owners of the city. What that means to you is that, again, if you're a member of a faction, you're going to add people you trust who are capable of starting a siege to the owners portion of the city, or the ownership of the region. Anyone else who you want to have access to the city, but you don't want them to share in the revenue, you would add as a member. Now, the reason we have that rule, that you have to add anyone else in your faction that is capable of doing a siege as an owner, is because the siege cost calculations include how many cities you already own. So it has to be accurate. Every city your faction owns must be on that list when it goes to calculate the cost, if that makes sense. Well, I think that's about everything on Siege. Now, there are some other things that have recently been updated in the plugin. Man overboard, there's a command /man overboard. You use it when you fall out of your ship. It used to be based on the last time the ship moved. Now it is simply, if you are still in command of a ship, you can teleport to it. So you just type /man overboard and you teleport to it. As soon as you lose command of the ship, you can no longer teleport to it. That might be vulnerable to abuse, and we're going to keep an eye on it. It's a big deal. Let's see, we want to make sure nobody can teleport on the server because it would basically break the economy. But I think it's going to be alright. The other thing is there was a problem repairing redstone torches. That's been fixed. Also, again with the repairs, it used to be that it wouldn't take repair items from a trapped chest. Now it does. Let's see, what else? And then crew signs. If you had ever changed your name, your crew sign could get screwed up, or that is, sometimes it wouldn't let you create a crew sign. It was weird. It happens sometimes, but not others. But now I've just made it so that if it ever fails to create a crew sign, it puts in your name for you. So it puts in what it thinks your name is, and that's good enough. And then finally, essentials. So previously, if you were running essentials on a server, it would store your spawn position. It would actually use your essentials home to your crew sign. The effect was, even after your ship was sunk and the bed was destroyed, you could still spawn there, which was a problem because it basically made it so that you could have infinite spawns even after your ship sank, and that's not good. So that's been fixed. Now, when the bed is gone, if the bed is broken, you can no longer spawn there, period. And you will reset to the server spawn. Let me see, what else? Oh yeah, multi-helming. People were abusing the fact that you can rotate your ship around any point along the ship using a remote sign. So it has now been nerfed. You cannot remote rotate a ship. So previously you could remote rotate using a helm sign. That is now blocked. Now, you could still remote rotate using a subcraft sign. However, that has a bunch of problems, and of course, it's banned. So you can't, let's see. If you do that, you're breaking the rules. And your ship's going to be confiscated. You yourself might be banned, depending on circumstances, so don't do it. It also has a bunch of problems in that your ship can randomly sink, so I wouldn't do it anyway. Well, that's about all I can think of as far as bug fixes go. So hopefully this has been enjoyable and perhaps a little entertaining. And if so, I would encourage you to like the video and subscribe to the channel. And I will see you next time.